Hi, Dave. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good afternoon.
Great. Now, for some reason, when somebody set up the Zoom on this, they set it up so that I had to admit people through the waiting room. So I have to keep checking.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it in the training room for a couple of reasons. This computer's easier, plus I'm going to use the dry erase board for part of it. So,
Great.
hi, Josh.
Can't stay cloaked forever.
Hey, Dala, how's it going?
Good.
I'm actually going to switch over to my other computer because this one doesn't have a camera on it.
Okay.
Is this like more instruction based or is it like conversation? I was just curious, like to where, like how, like the level where you were heading with.
Well, we're going to talk about why it's important, and then we're going to be doing a spreadsheet with how to do your business plan.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about keeping track of your goals.
Awesome. Would this spreadsheet be something you send or we just start our own?
It's something that's already available to you on our office intranet. I'm going to show you where to get it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Turn this around so that I can see you guys for now. How's that? Probably really too close up. Now, I told these guys I'm going to do this in the training room because I want to use dry erase board for part of the time. So, Michelle, just to welcome you.
Hi, Dala.
How are you?
Good. I
Good.
think I broke my toes though. I had a cover of a crawl space come crashing down on my foot.
Oh, ouch. Wait, were you showing a house or were you at home?
Final walkthrough.
Oh, no.
I know.
Hazards of the
I wanted
job.
to like start crying and I'm like, crap.
Are they all purple?
Oh yeah. I have ice on them now.
Oh, that sucks.
I know. It does.
I had an agent once that was showing a property that was not secure on a stair step and fell through the stairs down from level to level. Yeah. So
Wow.
boy, you gotta be careful.
Wow.
I'm gonna give people a couple minutes to get on here.
What's our intranet login? I bookmarked it, but it keeps giving me errors.
What does?
What's the intranet like first, like where do you start to get to our intranet page?
Oh, I'll show you when we get there.
Okay.
I'm gonna show everybody, so we'll be good. Hi, Jill. Jill's actually tuned in from vacation.
Okay.
Now that's some kind of sickness. She's in Florida. How warm is it there?
It's lunch 30 over there.
Yeah.
It's 90.
Ah,
I'm so jealous.
yeah, not here.
Ooh.
Yes, it's crazy. Hey, Dave, how are you?
Oh, gee,
Nice.
rub it in, rub it in. It's gonna get to like 50 degrees here today, if we're lucky.
I'm hearing.
All right, I'm just giving everybody a couple minutes to hop on so we don't have to repeat once we get started. And I'm broadcasting from the training room today because I want to use the whiteboard part of the time and share my screen part of the time. Well, let's see. I'm going to wait one more minute and then we're going to take off and go. Let's see how this lines up for the whiteboard too. I can see where I need to turn it to when I'm going to write. Actually, I can probably write right behind my head. That might work even better. All right. If anybody sees anybody waiting in the waiting room and I'm talking and not paying attention, please give me a yell, okay? All right, well, I'm gonna start off. First off, I just want to talk about lead generation in general, because that's the basis of this business. And what we're gonna be doing is a business plan that takes the 4 models that we talk about in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. It's a spreadsheet that makes it easy. But the reason I want to talk about lead generation first is because everything that is encompassed in this model takes for granted that you are going to lead generate 3 hours a day, 5 business days a week. And a lot of people, and I know even myself, when I was new in the business, I thought, what does that mean? What does that really mean to lead generate for 3 hours a day? So if we break it down like this, make sure I'm writing in a spot where you can see. Of our lead gen, we'll break it down to hour 1, hour 2, and hour 3. Can you guys see that okay?
Mhm.
Hour 1 is all about who and what. So who am I going to contact and what am I going to say when I contact them? So you really want to spend that first hour making a list of these are the people I'm going to contact today. And it doesn't have to be just by telephone. You can door knock. It can be going to, well, maybe not as much right now, social events. It can be any kind of one-on-one contact that you're going to make with that person. Text is even okay. Phone calls best, because if you have an interactive conversation back and forth, that's always best. But text is not terrible. That's okay as well. So you're going to make that list of who I'm going to contact. What am I going to say to them when I contact them? Well, we have all kinds of scripts and script books, and our script books are available online on our office intranet. And we're going to go use the office intranet here in a few minutes to access the spreadsheet. And I'll show you where the script books are when we go in there too. We also have 2 copies here in our training room that you can, use while you're here or check out. And I mean, they're 2 very large binder full of scripts. So there are all kinds of things you can say. So you're never at a loss. But right now, with the way things are in the world with COVID and all that, sometimes just checking in. How are you? How are things going? How are you and your family doing? And then always at the end of that, ask for the business. I've set a lofty goal for myself. Real estate is still crazy. We need listings. Right now, there are 15 to 20 buyers for every property out there. Who do you know that's thinking about listing their property? Or who do you know that's thinking about listing, buying, or investing in real estate? So always ask for the business when you're talking to them. So anyway, hour 1 is make your list of who you're going to contact. Hour 2 is what are you going to say? I'm sorry, second part of hour 1 is. Hour 2 is actually make contact. And that's when you're going to go down through your list and you're going to telephone each person. As you're talking to them, make notes about what they've said to you. Maybe they know somebody that's looking for property. Maybe they are planning to sell next spring. Whatever they're talking to you about, make a note of it. The most important part is from this point, don't stop and go set up a search or take the bunny trail of whatever it is they've talked to you about. We're gonna do a little exercise here in a second to kind of explain why that's important. So anyway, hour 2 is make the actual contact. Hour 3 then is your follow-up time. And that's when, if they told you they're interested, you set up the search. If they said that their mom's having surgery next week, that's where you might write the handwritten note that goes out next Tuesday that says, hope your mom did well their surgery, or get well soon, or whatever the case may be. So hour 3 is when you actually go through and do all that follow-up work. Do all of you have a piece of paper that you can take out right now? We're going to do just a quick little exercise, and I'm going to explain why this is important. After you get that piece of paper, I want you to make 8 dashes, and then underneath of it, leave some space and make 8 more dashes. Now, I don't want you to do anything until I tell you to do so. So put your pens down and look up for a second. When I tell you to go, I'm going to have you on the first line, write your ABCs in order to fill in all the dashes. And on the second line, write your numbers in order until you fill up all the dashes. So it's A, B, C, D, et cetera on the first line, 1, 2, 3, et cetera on the second line. But not till I tell you to go. All right, on your mark, get set, go. Look up when you're done. And those of you who have your cameras off, I would love to see your beautiful faces. Okay. Now, I want you to turn your piece of paper over so you can't see the front side. And on the back side, I want you to make 8 dashes. And underneath it, leave some space and 8 more dashes. Now this time, I'm going to have you do the same exercise, but instead, when I time you, not until, I want you to go A1, B2, and do it all the way through to fill in the spaces. All right, on your mark, get set, go. All right, did it take longer? Took you 9 seconds longer. Now, do you know why that is? Because as we're thinking, if we are in the process of doing one thing and we switch gears to do something else, it takes our brain a little bit longer to engage and re-engage. So, you know, you hear people say, I'm a great multitasker. Well, you know what? That's not always a good thing because we are most efficient when we're doing all of the same thing at the same time. So the book, The One Thing, talks about doing what is your one thing? Well, we know we all have more things to do in our lives than just one thing, but it's one thing at a time. So by going through and completing all of this, then when you're done with that, completing all of this, then when you're done with that, completing all of that is how you're going to be most efficient with your business. That make sense? Okay, the other thing I want to talk about before we get into the actual spreadsheet is in the Millionaire Real Estate book, it talks about when you lead gen, when you are corresponding and keeping in touch with the same people who have at least met you at some point, we call them Mets. Versus haven't met, people we've never met. They've done a lot of research. You know, Gary Keller started the Real Estate Institute at Baylor University. And all they do is study the real estate market, the economy, the real estate industry, et cetera. And for studies have been shown, and for people that you know, that you've met at least one time, doesn't have to be somebody you know well, but somebody you've met at least one time, that you keep in touch with on a regular basis. And obviously remind them you sell real estate, that for every 2 of them, you should get, for every 12 of them, you should get 2 real estate transactions per year. Maybe not from them, but somebody they've referred you to. So the process for doing that is when you first meet somebody, you want to put them on what we call an 8x8 touch system. That means they get touched once per week for 8 weeks. So if I just met you today, Michelle, and I sent you a follow-up note saying, Michelle, thank you for our meeting. It was great. Then next week I call you again and say, Michelle, I really enjoyed talking to you last week. I just wanted to talk to you again and see if there's anything more I can do for you. Then the week after that, maybe I send her an email. The week after that, maybe I send her a Thanksgiving card. The week after that, if I do some kind of touch with her every week for 8 weeks, by the end of 2 months, do you think she'll remember who I am? So that's why it's really important when you first meet somebody that you keep in touch with them regularly and quickly. Once that 8-week period is done, so after 2 months, then you go to what they call the 33 touch. And that lasts for 1 year. And the 33 touch is touching them simultaneously, or I'm sorry, different times through the year, not necessarily all the time with the same kinds of touches. And it's automated through our technology and our systems, but it can be holiday greetings. It can be things about, don't forget to change your clock back this weekend. It can be things about real estate. It can be all sorts of touches, some email, some calls, some maybe dropping by. And over the course of the year, it's 33 touches, a newsletter every month, that kind of thing. That's the next step. Then the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book says after that, we go to 12 direct. And that means once per month, forevermore. Now, that's what the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book says. And I know Gary Keller is an expert and has made much more money than I have through the years. However, my thought process, and this is just life according to Dala, doesn't mean it's right or wrong, is that when you finish this 33 touch, instead of going to 12 direct, because this is all kinds of touches, I actually used to just restart that 33 touch. And that was just my preference. That's not what the book says, but that was just my preference. So, but if you do this, in my opinion, guys, this is the secret sauce in this business. This is what doubled my business after my first year in real estate. And this is what got me consistency in my business. Now let's talk about the people you haven't met before. This would be people that you are marketing to, like a real estate farm, or maybe you're running ads someplace on Facebook. Maybe you are, you live in a subdivision and you've offered to host their website. So it's people that you don't know necessarily, you've never met them. You're just kind of casting a big net out there, hoping to catch a couple of fish. With the haven't mets, they go right on a 12 direct from day one, which is the once per month. So if you're mailing to a farm, and a farm doesn't have to just be geographical. Maybe you golf, it's your golf league that you're going to send something to. When my kids were in middle school, they went to not Indian Springs. Josh, what school did they go to? Hyatt's middle school. And I used to pay somebody to enter all of the names of everybody, because we got a handbook of all the parents in the school. And I would pay somebody to enter all of their names, email addresses, phone numbers, mailing addresses. And I called it the Hyatt's Middle School Farm. It can be a church directory. It can be your kid's soccer team, all the kids on the roster. So you never know where that's going to come from. But anyway, those are all farms, people you've not necessarily ever met. You're going to be communicating with once per month. And the ratio for this, so the Mets, like we said, for every 12, you get 2 deals. For the haven't Mets, for every 50, you get 1 deal per year. Well, I don't know about you, if you're gamblers, but I like 12 to 2 odds a lot better than 50 to 1. So we're going to be using this as we go into the business planning piece. So that's why I wanted to illustrate this to you, because understanding what those touches mean is really important for the business plan. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay, let's motor on. And I'm actually going to be sharing my screen with you guys, so give me just a second. All right. So where you're going to find our business plan, this is when you log in, this is what your login page looks like. Everybody know how to get to that point? If you come down here to where it says Market Center 379, that is our office specifically. And it's going to bring you up on this page, which is our training calendar and all kinds of resources. So I'm going to go up here to Market Center. And either here or here, either place, you can click on Documents and then go to Business Planning. And I've downloaded the spreadsheet in here for you guys. And we'll open it up. And it's an Excel spreadsheet. It's just like any other Excel spreadsheet. So if you look here at the bottom, if you've not used Excel before, just really quickly, if you look down here at the bottom, there are these tabs. And the first tab, we're going to actually change the year. So we're working on next year. So I'm going to put 2021. And I'm going to call this Dala Bishop's, whatever your name is, business plan. So that's just the cover page. And we're going to jump right in. The first is the economic model. And if you've read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, you've read about these models. So something to know about the business planning spreadsheet here is everything in red is variable. So if you change it, it will recalculate it to map to so that everything gives you the right totals. Anything in black is not variable. So, and the reason I went over those numbers on the board here is it's based on 3 hours a day of lead generation. You should be able to achieve this. So the first question we have to ask ourselves is how many transactions do we want to do in a year? Well, if you don't know the number of transactions, but you have a dollar amount, then you're going to have to work backwards from it and come down here to do so. But for our purposes today, and I'll do this with you one-on-one if you would like. But for our purposes today, we're going to do the number of transactions. And as you see, if I change this to 36, obviously it changes all the numbers. If I do it 12, it's going to change all the numbers. So I'm going to make it an odd number. I'm going to make it 18. Not odd in the sense that it's an odd number, but I mean, not one that's a typical number of transactions somebody would want to do. The next thing we have to make a decision about is what percentage of our business is going to come from listings versus what percentage of our business is going to come from buyers. Now, let's think about listings versus buyers for a second. And this is interactive. I'd like for you guys to correspond with me here. How many buyers do you think you could work with in a day?
2, maybe.
2?
Like, you mean
Yeah,
in a
buyers
day, like to take them around to see stuff?
Okay. How many listing appointments do you think you could go on in a day?
Lots.
What was that?
I said lots, a lot.
Yeah, you could probably, if you were on purpose about it, you could probably easily go on 5. So from a time standpoint, buyers take a lot more time, right? Because you're touring homes, you're driving between the homes, you may be asking questions about it. It takes a while to tour plus the drive. Whereas listing appointments takes you about an hour to prepare for it. Typically, when once you're in the rhythm, if you're brand new, it might take you a little bit longer your first couple times. About an hour to actually do the physical appointment, an hour to get all the paperwork done and together, and then maybe an hour more to coordinate getting your photos and all the things you want to do, lock box on, sign on, etc. And working a system is a good thing because the more of these you do, the more efficient you'll get, obviously. So when I was working as a standalone agent, not on a team, I focused more on listings than I did buyers because I had 3 young kids. I needed to go to soccer games and baseball games and all that stuff. So I knew I needed to leverage my time. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what I did. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent book says we should really focus 50% of our business on listings and 50% on buyers. I personally went heavier on the listing side. So this is up to you. You need to look at your business, and maybe from past years' experience, you know that, you know what, I work more buyers than I do listings. That just happens, what comes my way. Maybe you want to be a little heavier on buyers than listings for some reason. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying as you're planning, you know, that's what you need to take into consideration. So I've got 70% of my business here coming from listings and 30% coming from buyers. And to be honest, when I was selling, I made 80% of my goal, listings and 20 buyers. And I always tended to do a little more than the 20 on the buyer side anyway, because most of the people that I took their listings, they also bought with me. But that's not always the case. So now let's move over to this column. The next thing we need to look at is, what is our average sale price? Well, if you weren't in the business last year at this time, you don't know what your average sale price is. I can help you. I have broker metrics. I can look up your average sale price if you need my help with that, your number of units, etc. Or if you've not been in the business, our average sale price for the office is about $226,000. You can use that. This next question you need to ask yourself is, what is your average commission? Well, this is based on 3%. Now, if you know that occasionally you reduce your commission, then you may want to adjust this. I hope you're not reducing your commission on every one, because you're worth every penny. And you want to make sure that you sell yourself and what you're doing, because you do a lot of services, for that commission. But if you know that, if somebody buys and sells with you, you reduce your commission by a little bit, that's okay. One tactic I used to use a lot if people would try to beat me up on my commission is I would say, are there certain services that you don't want for your property that I do for everyone after I went through my marketing plan? Of course there weren't. The other thing I would do is, if they bought and sold through me, sometimes what I would do is I would give them a discount of 20% on my portion of it. So I would explain it. The buyer's agent gets 3%. I don't have any say-so in that. I also get 3%. But if you also buy with me once we sell your house, I'll reduce my 3% by 20%. And that's better than giving up a whole percentage point. So that's just another thought or tactic you could use. So anyway, getting back to this, I'm just going to leave it at 3 because I don't reduce my commission anymore, is what I'm going to go by as far as what we're doing here. So based on this, it says I need to go on 22.4 listing appointments in a year. We'll say 22, just for easy math. That's 2 listing appointments per month. The conversion rates are based on national averages. Well, I know you can do better than average, but we're going to leave the average in here. So of those 2 we go on each month, we're going to actually convert and take the listing on 75% of them. So that's 17 listings to be taken this year. That's 1.4 a month. And I always say on the listing side, let's round up. Let's always shoot for 2. Of those, we're going to sell 75% of them, or 13 for the year. So that's basically 2 listings a month. I'm going to round up here just because I would rather round up and be conservative on the listing side. At an average sale price of $226, average commission of $67.80. Our gross commission for doing that would be $85,428 per year, or if you break it down by month, it's $71.19. Everybody follow me? Now let's do the buyer side. This should be a little easier because we've already gone through the listing side. That we need to go on 10 buyer consultations per year. That's 1 a month. Of those, we will convert and sell 75% of them, or actually take contracts on 75% of them. And that is what I would consider a buyer listing is a buyer's exclusive representation. Now, back when I was selling, I did not use those very much. However, if I were practicing today, I would. And the reason being is you are going to give 110% to your buyers, and you want to try to pull their loyalty to you, and you want 110% from them. So, and that's the way I would have the conversation. And I would also explain to them that, buyer, it doesn't cost you anything to have a buyer's representative, and you have someone representing your best interest. Because if you go directly to the listing agent, guess what? That listing agent's either representing the seller's best interests or they're being neutral. They're not going to be representing you no matter what. So don't you want someone looking out for your best interests? So if I were practicing today, I would incorporate the buyer's agreement. So anyway, back to our spreadsheet here. We're going to take 7 listings with buyers for the year. That's 1 a month. Of those, we'll sell 75% of them, or we'll close 5 buyers. So we're going to close 13 listings and 5 buyers. I'm rounding up on one side and down on the other. That's 1 buyer a month. I left the average sale price at 150. That's probably low, so I can change that. And again, this is variable. So based on your experiences, most of mine are move-up buyers, so I'm going to make them 300,000. At an average commission of 9,000, so I'm going to have gross commission for the year on my buyers for 48,600 and per month 4,500. So that brings us down to our yearly totals, 134,028. Our gross commission per month 11,169. Now at this point, when you look at that, you go, man, that's not going to pay my bills. It really needs to be 150 that I gross in a year. That's the point where you can go back and say, well, I either need to change my number of transactions and do more deals. I need to increase my sale price. So you can look at those and see, which one of those is going to be your goal to change, or maybe it's a little bit of both. Because when you are targeting neighborhoods for haven't mets, obviously you can hit a sale point, an average sales price in a neighborhood by doing your research on the MLS. And that's something you should be doing every day anyway, is going on MLS, researching the neighborhood that you live in, the neighborhoods where you might have listings in, that you're farming, so that you have your finger on what's going on in that neighborhood all the time. But anyway, that's where you would increase this, say, well, I might need to do 24 transactions, or I might need to increase my, like I said, my sale price. Any questions on the economic model before we go on to the next? Sorry, I have to get a drink of water. All right, let's move on to the lead generation model. And that's what we had back here on the board. Again, based on 3 hours a day of lead generation. If you look, see how I have this little grid broken down into Mets versus haven't Mets? Does that ring a bell? Also got the ratios here, the 12-2 and the 50-1. Now the next piece is you need to make the decision, again, of what percentage of your business is going to come from people that you have already met versus people you have not already met. And again, a met does not mean that you have a long time deep-seated relationship. It can mean you met them one time. It can also mean that it's somebody that you met brand new today. And when you are adding people to your database, my guess is most of you have a lot more people in your database than you realize you do. Go through your cell phone. There's a little exercise you can do by going to your contacts on your cell phone and scrolling to the bottom. Look how many contacts you have in your cell phone. Last time I did, I had like 6,000. So I'm sure that you have a lot more contacts there than you realize. Let's talk about the Mets first. So what percentage of my business is going to come from either past clients, referrals, or people I know? Again, when I was practicing, I always wanted to make sure I focused on people I knew versus people I didn't know. But I think it's important and good to keep adding to your database. So having a haven't met goal is important. So let's just, for our purposes, say it's going to be 70% from people we know and 30% from people we don't know. So pretty amazing that if our business is on this 12-2 ratio is going to come from people that we know, that's only 76 people we need in our database. My guess is you've probably corresponded with that many people in the last 48 hours, let alone who you have in your database. Now, it doesn't mean you may need a mailing address for people. You might need an email address for people. Collect it all so you have everything. Especially with our neighborhood nurture, when you add your contacts in, you want to have their mailing address because that's an automatic touch they get every month. That is a snapshot of what's going on in their neighborhood. That there are 10 listings, there are 6 in contract and 3 that closed. the average sale price is. So it's giving them a prettied up version of, this is what's happening in your neighborhood. And face it, that's what everybody wants to know. What's going on where I live? And you might send that to somebody, they go, wow, my house is worth a lot more than I realized. Maybe I should think about selling. So we only need 76 people in our database. So how many people do we have in our database now? Michelle, I'm gonna pick on you for a second. How many people do you have in your database right now? Do you know?
I don't even know. I mean, it's probably about 75, 80.
Okay, so you're right about there. Let's say that you only had 40, for our example. If I type that in, it's going to let me know, what do you need to do now for the next little bit? So right away, it says you're going to need to get 36 people in there pronto. Over the next 4 weeks, that means you need to add 9 people a week. Over the rest of the year, you need to add 76 more, because you don't want to stop at the total goal. You always want to grow your database. So over the next 6 months, add 13 per month or 3 people per week. So over the next month, I know I got to get 36 in there. And then after that, just 3 per week, 3 per week, 3 per week, and I should be good. Now let's go down here to the bottom. And I kind of wish I had a line right here dashed through, because I think that would make this easier to understand. But you know, up here on the board where we talked about 8x8, 33 touch, 12 direct, this is your 8x8. Well, with us, all of our campaigns are email based or telephone based. So guess what? They don't cost you anything. They are free. So there's 0 here. The 33 touch, same way. They are free. So there's zeros here. Now, when we go to the people we haven't met, another reason to focus on people that you've met is because they already know you, love you, and trust you. But they're cheaper because you can do free touches with them. For people you haven't met, you have to pay something for. And maybe that's farming that neighborhood. Maybe it's Facebook ads in a certain area, et cetera. But they cost you a little bit of money. So it's telling us that we need to focus on 270 people we haven't met to reach our goal. And that's if 70% of our business comes from here and 30% of our business comes from here. So you're going to want to look at neighborhoods that have 270 homes in them, or maybe 2 neighborhoods that have maybe 150 each in them, to make sure you get that 270 in. Also, you have lenders, you have title companies that are itching for your business. So build a relationship with those folks. And a lot of times they will help offset your costs. With RESPA, they can't pay for the whole thing most of the time, but maybe they can pay for the printing and you pay for the postage, or vice versa. So it's a good way to co-brand with someone else and save some money. So over the next 4 weeks, it's saying to add 270 or 68 people per week. Well, guess what? When it comes to this, you can do them all in one fell swoop very easily. If you contact the title company, the title partner that you're working with, they can actually pull that information for you for that neighborhood, give you all of the mailing addresses, and you can import them right into your database so that it's automated. So that's what I would do and get it done. You can also do it through the Columbus Board of Realtors, through the MLS. There is a function key, a function area in there that you can do it through as well. So do it all at once, get it done. And then once you do, you don't have to add any more for the rest of the year. It's just that one time. But you put them on the 12 direct. And what does it cost you to do that? Well, you're going to have to figure that out based on what, if you get a title company or et cetera. It should cost you about 50 cents per touch to send them something, give or take. You, like I said, you can figure that out once you talk to the title company. So over the course of the year, that's going to be $1,620. Okay, everybody good?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was following your numbers, looking around, taking notes. Where did you say you get what you're getting addresses and info from the title? I missed how
The
you.
title company can pull it, or there is a section within MLS where you can go pull it. You can pull so many per month, and I don't remember what the number is right off the top of my head. I'd have to look because I haven't done it for a long time.
But you're pulling names and full mailing addresses?
Yeah, the MLS has a separate database that you can go in and pull that information from. And it pulls it from the auditor's site in those neighborhoods.
Oh, so you pick a neighbor, that's okay, so you're figuring out a neighborhood.
Yep.
Okay.
The easiest way, like I said, is have your title partner do it and then import it.
Just give them.
Something else,
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
No, I was just trying to understand the, like how you're segmenting Columbus to a specific neighborhood or zip code or whatever.
You're most likely you're going to pick a subdivision, or you're going to pick an area, a mailing area. So maybe it's Highland Lake subdivision. And so if that's a neighborhood that has 270 addresses, then that's an easy neighborhood for you to pick to farm. The other thing when you're choosing a farm is I recommend going in and calculating the absorption rate to see our house is actually selling in that neighborhood, because you don't want to pick a neighborhood where there's no movement either.
So,
Go ahead.
this is a recommendation of paying for marketing, whether it's co-opted with somebody else, paying for marketing to have it met in a specific area by doing either direct mail, email, calling.
It is direct mail, because you don't have email addresses for people you've never met.
Right. I mean, but I understand.
The other thing that is a good idea to do around that is, you guys all have at your access here in the office, the Mojo Dialer. And actually we have a class on that tomorrow on how to use it with Rapid Mortgage. And that's free to you. And they can actually pull up all of the addresses and phone numbers for a neighborhood, scrub it against a do not call list. And then you can call up to 3 people at a time. If you get their voicemail recording, it automatically leaves them a message. And you can boom, 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 do really effective lead generation quickly. And I'll tell you the script that has been most effective with them using that is, hi, this is Dala with Keller Williams Greater Columbus. We have buyers looking for homes in your neighborhood. Who do you know that's thinking about selling? And if they don't know of anybody, thank them. Here's my contact information if you think of somebody. And then boom, you're talking to the next person. We've had agents pull $300,000 and $400,000 listings out of making those phone calls. And it is a numbers game, but just like if you look up here at the odds again, for every 50 you get 1, it's a numbers game. So it's making a lot of calls to pull out information to get that, but it's very efficient lead generation. And that's a service they provide for you guys for free. All right, let's go on to the budget model.
Hey,
So
Dala,
again, oh yeah.
I want to say something about that. It's like, I was doing that through Mojo Dialer one time and had made a bunch of calls and had done just that script that you had mentioned, like, hey, we've got a buyer in your area. And I had somebody that had called back and put a call out to him. Again, we were playing like phone tag, and I said, so what can I help you? He says, well, you called me and told me that you had a buyer for my property. And it's like, oh yeah, we do. So like when you're doing that kind of stuff, you just want to make sure that you keep track of those things so that when you do get that call back in, when somebody refers, and makes that return call, you've got that buyer, because we can come up with buyers, right? Especially in this market.
Absolutely. Good point, Jill.
Yeah. It's a
Well,
good way to get some business.
Well, I was gonna say that's, another thing. Let's say that you have a buyer that you just can't find a property for. That's another great lead generation tool right now is get on the Mojo Dialer. If you know areas that they want to live in, call that neighborhood. And when you have a specific buyer, call specific homes or write letters to specific homes. I had an agent a couple years ago that had somebody that wanted a condo at Buckeye Lake. They knew they wanted to be at Buckeye Lake. There were 2 condo subdivisions out there that they really liked. So he generated letters to all of those neighborhoods. He got 3 calls. He ended up putting them in a condo and got a listing appointment out of it for another one. So you don't know where your business is going to come from. Okay. Let's go back to the budget model now. So this is summarizing what we've already done. We know that we're going to do 18 transactions, our average commission, and our gross commission for the year. Now our cap, so obviously if you succeed through this, you're going to cap, and our cap is $21,000 per year on company dollar and $3,000 for our royalty. So that that's a cost of doing business. That's a cost for being with a company that is providing you tools, technology, all the kinds of things that are going to bring you more business. So that's built in as a cost of sale. Then we come down to this next section, the operating expenses. So the first part is salaries. That can be for you if you are setting up your books, because this is a business. You want to run it like a business. So maybe you're going to pay, maybe your tax preparer has recommended that you take a salary draw. A lot of times when you're first getting started, you don't have enough to really make that pertinent. However, you may want to. So that's just something to keep in mind going forward. The other thing is your first hire, if you want to grow a team, your first hire is an administrative assistant. So maybe that is your plan. Maybe you're at the point where you've got more business than you can do. You're going to hire an admin. So you want to build that salary in there. And if that's the case, and it's going to be a part-time person, maybe you're going to pay them $20,000 the first year. Too many zeros. And again, it will change the monthly amount here to reflect that. I'm going to keep this 0 right now because I just wanted to show you that for an example. The other thing is this total down here is telling you that your expenses for your business should not exceed 19.1% of your gross commissions for the year. So this is what helps keep you in check. Playing red light, green light. You don't want to spend money you don't have. So you want to stop, you want to do all the free things you can, get some business, and then as you get a piece of that business, take a portion of it, 5%, 10%, whatever, put aside for reinvesting in your business. So maybe at that point you can pay for some other type of lead generation that you're not already doing.
What was the percentage of expense to income?
Well, it's different for each category here. So
Well, the whole thing total was under 20.
19.1, yeah. So lead generation should not exceed 3.1% of your total gross income. My guess is that most of you are not going to spend that full 3.1%, especially if you're new in the business. So you can pare this down a little bit if you need to. And we're going to pull in that amount that we already calculated in the last model for our farm. Although this isn't a terrible amount, it's $350 a month for lead generation. But let's say you're going to make it $100 a month. All you do is change that, and it obviously calculates for you. Occupancy. This is your office bill. This is your, $63.50 a month. Plus, if you decide that you're going to rent a private office in the office, that's where you would put that amount in as well. So let's do. The next piece is technology. And with technology, I would go ahead and let's add our board dues in here. So that's about a little over $1,000 a year. Are you paying for any other kind of technology? Because with your board dues comes your super key and all that kind of thing. But if there's other technologies, maybe you're paying for AM cards, which is a card service to help you through your lead generation, which actually could go under lead gen or it could go under technology. But that's where you want to build in your technology piece. So we know 1,000 of it's going to be board dues. I would say leave a little bit in there, even if you're not paying for something else for the year. So let's say 1,500 as our yearly budget. Then the next item we have is your phone. Well, your phone is not 100% a business expense. However, it's a good portion. So it's saying you don't want to allocate more than basically $56 a month on the business side of your phone. So if half of it's personal, half of it's business, don't be spending, more than $110 a month for your phone. Supplies, that can be yard signs, lock boxes, closing pouches, paper, all of those kinds of things. Well, we've got a monthly budget here of $55.85 or $670 for the year. I'd say that's a pretty good amount to leave in. Remember, your signs are reusable. They're only $34 a piece. Your lock boxes are about $100 a piece. They're reusable. But anyway, that's a good amount for the year. Education. Well, you should not need to spend any money on your CE because we have enough free CE that you should be able to get all of your CE in. However, you want to continue learning. This is you want to be learning based. It's a learning based business. It keeps going, things keep changing, etc. So you want to make sure you build some money in to go to things that are going to help you grow and expand your business. I recommend either family reunion or mega camp or both, and or bold. Those are the family reunion, mega camp are our big national events we have each year. Bold comes basically once a quarter. And right now they're doing them all virtually, so they're a lot cheaper. But if you have to travel to Texas for mega camp or travel to Las Vegas for family reunion, it's going to cost you a little bit between lodging and airfare and that kind of thing. So I always recommend leaving $2,000 in here at least so that you can continue to be learning based and keep adding that up. And when you break it down per month, that's not much. I see Emily raised her hand.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good question. So is this the category where coaching would fall under?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you figure out, because like the MAPS coaching is very expensive, but I have really been enjoying it. So based on this model, like if you're to spend 2% and that's only $2,000 for the year, like should your GCI be like way higher before you consider signing up for MAPS, or like how do you figure that out?
Well, not necessarily. And there's different levels of MAP coaching. There is Mastery, which is once a week, and that's $1,000 a month.
Okay.
Then there is Breakthrough, which is 400 and change. I forget what it is per month, 480, something like that. And so it's less expensive. Also, where are you up in this realm? Mike, are you doing more transactions and have more gross commissions, et cetera? I also would recommend Bold because Bold is MAPS coaching on steroids. I mean, the average agent that goes through Bold does 14 more transactions.
Yeah. I really like the one-on-one attention and like personalization.
Yeah.
So do you still get that with, I mean, obviously with Mastery you do. Do you know with that other option?
With Breakthrough, yes, you do. It's the same coach system. It's just less frequent.
Okay, gotcha. Are there, I mean, obviously that's a great option. Are there other like one-on-one coaching options that like other agents have used, or?
Well, MAPS coaching is what I would recommend. And then also, you're in our top 20%, Emily, and I would love to have a standing monthly meeting with you as well.
Okay. Okay, great.
So I know we've had some and we've just not gotten in a regular rhythm yet. So
Yes, I sent you an email. So just let me know when you're available.
perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Good question. Okay. Equipment. This would be laptop. This would be iPad. This would be printers. Any kinds of equipment you're going to need in your business. You can also add the signs and lock boxes under here because it could go supplies or equipment, however you want to look at it. My guess is 4,000 is probably a little high. So like Emily, if you wanted to invest in coaching, you could pare this down and know that, I'm not going to spend as much in equipment this year. It's only going to be 2,000, but then I'm going to, add more here. So you can tweak it and play around with it a little bit. Then the last category we have here is your auto insurance. So again, your car is not 100% real estate business, but it's a portion. So you want to make sure that you take that into consideration. Now, as we get to the bottom, these are our strategy areas. So maybe I know that I'm not quite ready to hire an admin, but my plan is by the end of the year because I want to grow my business to the next level. So if that's the case, that's where you put, I'm going to have one hire. What's the position going to be? Administrative assistant, whatever. And then you include that there. I'm going to leave this blank for now. Now, this next area talks about the budgeted amount minus total cost for marketing action plans. So our budgeted amount for lead gen was $1,200. And then when we come back to our marketing for lead gen, 1620. So it just, we're gonna put the difference in here for our calculations. The remaining lead generation budget amount is the amount you have to spend on additional strategies. Remember to lead with revenue, make the money before you spend it, include the cost and the date on which you will verify that you are making a profit from the expenditure. The accountable date should be about 6 months after the start date. So we know that we want to add, and let's say a paid Facebook campaign. Oops. And we know that the cost is going to be $54 per month. And I'm going to have the money and I'm going to start it in February. And when am I going to hold it accountable? Well, I'm going to give it 6 months before I hold it accountable. So by August 1st. And this is so you don't forget things, because you're going to take, as you sit down and you plan, you want to add these things in. And this is not a one-time and done either. This is something you should revisit every month because things change. So there's room to put a second strategy, a third strategy, etc. All right, now let's tie it all together. So if I do everything and reach my goals for what we just put together after all of my expenses, but not including taxes, I will make $99,558.58 if I do all of this. My total cost of sale, other operating expenses, budgeted lead generation operating expenses. It summarizes my METs versus my haven't METs, how many contacts I need to add in each, and what it's going to cost me to keep in touch with them. It's got my strategies listed here. It's got my gross income. It shows 70% of my business comes from listings, 30% from buyers. And in order to do this, I need to go on 2 listing appointments a month and 1 buyer appointment a month. And make sure that I have the right number of people in my database. Here we go, this one. When you put it all together like that, it doesn't seem like it's such a big, hairy, audacious thing, does it? So a lot of people think, well, where do I go from here? Well, when you finish your business plan, obviously save it. I recommend printing out this last page, and this page be something that you set a date in your calendar as a recurring event every month. And I wouldn't do it at the end of the month when you're busy with your closings and all that. I would do it for like the first week or the second week of the month, and go back and revisit it and go, did I do it last month? Did I have 2 listing appointments to have 1 buyer appointment? Did I have, the closings that those were supposed to generate? And if I didn't, guess what? Next month I need to add to what I did, because I fell short last month. So instead of 2, I might need 3, because I've got to make up for lost time. And it tends to, especially here with our seasonality to our business, a lot of times things slow down in December, January, but by the time, March, April, May, June hit, it's so busy, and that's what those are your makeup months. Not always. I've got some agents right now said they had the best month ever in September and October. And the other thing is, going into this last quarter, business does not stop because of the holidays. Most companies, if they're doing relocation and that kind of thing, guess what? They're doing it at the end of the year. So people that are buyers that are out looking in December are serious buyers, because people don't want to necessarily take time from their holiday stuff. And I don't have a crystal ball, but my guess is, we had so many buyers that could not get into homes over the summer because there was just not enough inventory. I think a lot of those buyers are going to be hitting the market all through November, December, because they couldn't get homes in the summer. So if you've got buyers still, I would still keep rattling their chains and try to find them something. You can always negotiate possession and things like that, so people don't have to be out of their homes in the middle of Christmas week. The other thing is, don't let that be a deterrent to try to get listings, because again, let people know it's a good time to list and sell. That's when people do relocation. That's also when a lot of people have time off, and so they have time to move. The other thing is, if you're working on listings for January and someone says, yeah, I'll list with you in January, get their paperwork signed right now. You can put the start date to be January 15th, and they sign it on November 4th. That's okay. That way you've got a signed listing agreement in hand. And the other reason why it's good to do that with those folks is because that gives them a hard, fast deadline to be ready. If they have to make repairs or have things painted or things done, there's time to get that done. You can go out and do your consultation now, but get that paperwork signed and in the hand. And that way you can let them know. That way it'll be faster to get you up and running in January. We won't waste time. And I would also let them know that I think there are going to be buyers and sellers out all the time. Actually, especially buyers, because our inventory has been so low that they're out still looking, even in the middle of the winter. All right, before I go on to the next thing, is everybody good with the business plan? Do you have any other questions? Okay, I'm going to close this out. Oh, I mentioned to you the script books. If you go here under learning resources, see how it says script book part 1 and script book part 2. They're such big files, they're huge, that's why they're in 2 parts, but that's where you go to it. You can click on it, you can look at it and download it. You can send and share it, etc. So that you can email it to yourself. The other thing I wanted to look at is I want to talk a little bit about profitability, because not everybody is a business person that necessarily thinks about credits and debits and all that. You're a business person in that you want to do a service to make money, but knowing your numbers is really important. So one of the things that you need to think about doing as time goes on is your business is your business. You're an independent contractor. This is your business. Every business out there has a profit and loss statement. They know what their money coming in is. They know what their money going out is. And then at the end of the day, have they profited or lost money? So in doing that, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book came up with a chart of accounts. And if you go to Millionaire Systems, you can download that chart of accounts. And this is where you should keep your expenses, is in a place. So I don't care what software you use. Maybe you are boy, I'm drawing a blank. Been talking too much here.
QuickBooks.
QuickBooks, thank you. Or Quicken, or you have maybe you have a bookkeeper, which is money well spent that you can send your expenses to. Whatever they keep it in, they've given you the topics or the categories that you should be looking at. So you always want to, the MREA budget model and the chart of accounts gives you the guidelines to keep your expenses low. You want to lead with revenue, meaning don't spend money you don't have. As I mentioned earlier, play red light, green light. Hold your money accountable to making more money. If you're spending money on something that's not bringing you any business, cut it out and then use your money on something that will bring you business. And then stick to your budget once you create it. As your business grows, we talk about 30, 30, 40 as being what your goal should be. So roughly speaking, your cost of sales are going to be 30% of your gross commission. Your operating expenses will account for another 30%, leaving you 40% to your bottom line or your profit. That's phenomenal. It's unlimited business opportunity. The more you do. So think of it this way. If you had $1 of commission, 30 cents of it would go to your split, 30 cents of it would go to your expenses, and you would keep 40 cents. So just in easy terms. Cost of sale includes your split you pay to the market center before you cap, any referral fees, and any salaries you pay to buyer or seller's agents on your team if you have a team. Also, within the roughly 30% that you put to operating expenses, there are recommended percentages as to how much to spend in each expense category. And we just went over that with the budget model. This is another form of the budget model. And this is just an example. And I can send this to all of you when we're done if you want. But it just gives some samples and best practices for gross commission, cost of sale, gross profit, your expenses, and then your net. The net income drops to 25% once you hit $1 million of gross commission. That's a little caveat there. As you look down here, this is what we just went through as far as what you need to look at as far as your budget goes. And I've already built it into that spreadsheet. And that spreadsheet, by the way, is not available to everyone. That's something that just my office has, because put this together a long time ago. Now, the MREA chart of accounts I was talking about, if you're not an accountant, that's okay. If you're not a bookkeeper, that's okay. Most of us aren't built that way. But it talks about, you have your account numbers, the category it falls under, and then the detail. And that way you know where you're spending money, and it's easier to track it. And tracking is really important. That's what I talked about, knowing your numbers. So I just wanted to share that with you guys too. Now, I'm gonna go back here for a second.
What was that last file called that you pulled? Was from Market Center?
The MREA chart of accounts. They've moved it on me again. The 411 used to be right here in the resources. I apologize. Keller Williams is getting ready to revamp all of this. So it's kind of like a moving target right now for some of it. And now I got to find where the 411 is. And I apologize. When all else fails, let's go up here. See if we can find anything in the search. There we go. This is a place, once you've done your business plan, that you can put all of your goals to help you keep track. Actually, let me go back a second because I want to. So what 411 stands for is 4 weeks, 1 month, and 1 year. We use this as a productivity tool to reflect your top priorities or your big rocks. So there's a business one, a personal one, and a combined one. And actually, that's what we're going to look at here in just a second. And if you go down here, it gives you a more in-depth description. It talks about, your annual goals, the job, what will you do, the business, what will your business or team do, personal, what do you desire to have happen personally, and your personal financial piece. So let's just jump right in. This is a very easy tool to use. Looks like I need to accept cookies. And this is what it looks like. And yours will be for you because when you log in, obviously, it'll have your credentials. So you're on this side, it's business goals. On this side, it's personal goals. So your yearly goals. Well, we just did your business plan. So you know what that is. And I would take, there's 7 categories that I would be concerned about. And they are all of the things that we just put together. So it's going to be your buyers. And we know that we needed, for a year, I think it was 24 buyers. We'll put buyers, 24. Listings. Actually, I think I have it backwards. I think the buyers were 12 and the listings were 24. But you get the point of what I'm doing here. Our lead generation, METs, how many people do we need in our database? Well, I think it was, actually, I think it was only 79 or 75. Haven't METs. And I can send you these 7 categories And that was 200. Education. I'm going to bold and family reunion. And so we know that's going to be about $2,500. Closings. And then we know we're gonna have, I'm just putting some numbers in, guys, don't quote me on that. And so I'll send you those, but you can see what I'm doing as far as adding them in. Then you break down monthly, what do I need to do? Well, I know that I need to add 3 people. No, 13 people per month to my database. What else do I need to do monthly? Well, I know I need to go on 2 listing appointments. I know I need to go on 1 buyer appointment. And anything else you need to add, obviously. And then weekly, what does that look like? Well, I'm going to lead generate every day, so I'm going to make whatever your number is, 15 calls a day. If I know I need to add 3 people per week, I'm going to just make it to add 1 person to my database per, or I'm sorry, 3 people per week. So you see how you're breaking it all down? And then you want to spend some time to reflect on your personal goals. Maybe your personal goal is to, buy an investment property. Maybe it is to take a trip to Europe, assuming it opens by then. And maybe it is to save $10,000. And then that's for the year. Then what's per month? What are your strategies to make each of these happen? You add those here, and then you add them down here. Now, the cool thing about this is you can copy all the tasks. So like if your goal, if everything you did week 1 goes into week 2, you can copy them right over. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let's do this. And that way it just saves you time as time goes on. The other thing is when you finish something, you go here, you can check it off. I finished it. Or maybe this is no longer a goal. You can go in and delete it. So it's easy to manage. And then when you get on to the next month, when you roll on to November, guess what? You can take the goals from the previous and add them over. So you can see how that makes things easier. Now, if you are in coaching or if you're coaching with me or with Andrea, doing this and bringing it to our meetings helps us a whole bunch because we don't have to backpedal and look at your business plan, where you are, etc. This gives us an idea of if you're on track. Then we can strategize and get more accomplished because this is already done. That makes sense? All right. So tell me what questions you guys have. And I'll join you this way now.
I did not, I was actually pulling this up online while you were doing that. What was the tactic to copy them over? Do you, I didn't see for like weekly goals to have them add to the side. I missed what you were doing there.
There's a little checkbox out there. Actually, the instructions are even spelled out on the first page, but there's a little box out to the right to copy them. I think, I forget, was it a pen? Hold on. It's a square. It's an empty square, and if you hover over it, it says, add unfinished goals from previous period.
Do you want to, and then if you hit yes, congratulations, you don't have any unfinished weekly goals?
Well, yeah, if you didn't have any in there, it's not gonna pull anything over. Here, wait a minute, let me go back to sharing my screen. Where are you guys? Oh, shoot, now I can't find, there we are. So if I'm here, and let's say I'm on this week here.
Oh, okay. Got it. It's where your cursor is.
Yeah,
That helps.
although that didn't put it where I wanted it. Oh, it's adding them to here because it's got me under week 1. So I keep adding them onto the same one, my bad. Let's see, because we're already this far into October, it should be. I don't know why. Add the goals from the previous. I don't know why it's adding them all to week 1. I need to look into that. I'm sure it's user error because this has actually been redone. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. What happens if I go here? Let's do. Well, I think there's a little glitch right now because it didn't put all of them in here, just 3 of them.
Got it. I didn't mean to hang up on something so technical. I was just.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that because it doesn't usually. And like I said, it looks different, like these symbols are different. So they're working on it. I'm guessing that's why. So I don't know. I'll have to look into. We've had this tool for a long time, but it evolves obviously with the look of our business and the look of our screens and all that. So, oh, we have a couple things in chat. Oh, thanks, Jill.
Yeah.
She's going to the pool. That sucks.
She earned it.
Yes, she did. She did. The fact that she logged in on vacation. So, you guys have any other questions?
While we got you, I know there's I didn't know, I don't want to hog anybody else's questions, but I do have a couple other ones.
Okay. Maybe someone else has the same question.
Oh, well, you mentioned investment properties because that was one of the things I was looking into in this, in this super hot market. I mean, things are obviously developing. Is there anything that KW can share for like analyzing an investment property? I mean, there's a lot of other tools, and I wasn't sure if there's any internal tools.
Well, there is the Millionaire Investor book.
Okay.
That I would start with that.
Okay.
There's another book called Hold, and boy, are you in for such a treat. Jim McKissick, Jim and Linda are our regional owners. And about 18 years ago, 19 years, I don't know, ago, they live in Texas. And Linda was a real estate agent, and Jimmy had Dave and Buster's restaurants. And they ended up in a position where they were $250,000 in debt, restaurant upside down, in a world of hurt, had, family, etc. And this was about the time right before Linda came to Keller Williams, and she met Tony DeCello, who at that time was the #1 RE/MAX agent in the country and was at a Keller Williams event. I'm sorry, at a teaching event. He later came to Keller Williams. And Jim and Linda figured out a way to invest in real estate. They didn't have any money, any capital put down, but they had their real estate commission, obviously, as part of the transaction. So they found partners. They found partners that were builders that could like do the work. They found partners with people who had money that could, you know, help offset the cost with the down payments and supplies and things like that. And they went in, they started buying investment properties with these partnerships. Not only did they grow this to an empire, they got themselves out of debt. Linda followed the MREA guidelines and built a real estate team. And they've actually walked away from their team. Somebody else runs their team for them. They once a week touch base with them. So they're making their money off their team. They're making money from their investment properties, and they're making money over $1 million a year in profit share now, which is amazing. Anyway, Jim did a class probably 10 years ago on exactly their story, how they did it, what they did. And I have him doing that class for our office on November 19th at 1 o'clock. It's on the calendar. Make sure you jump on. It is well worth the price of admission. Josh, I will send you a link to that because he is, when he did it before, it was amazing, and he hasn't done it for a long time. And I called Linda for something else. I said, I really would like Jim to do this for me again. I've asked a couple times, and she goes, let me look at his calendar. And she goes, what date do you want it? So that is the 3rd Thursday of November, right after our office meeting.
Thank you. So Hold is a book, or is that his thing?
They wrote the book called Hold, and that's the class that he's teaching.
Got it. And then Millionaire Investor is,
Yep.
is Gary Keller. And I've seen that one. Okay. That's helpful.
That is a great book. Even if you, and Josh, you want to get investors as clients, that Millionaire Real Estate Investor book, get that, read it, understand it, and teach it. Offer to do seminars, and then people that come to your seminar, and they could be Zoom seminars. And then when you teach what's in that book, then that's obviously going to bring you people who are interested in investing as potential clients. Because Josh is looking to work with investors.
What's the date and time for that again?
November 19th, and I think it's at 1, but let me look at my calendar. Yep, from 1 to 3 on November 19th.
In person or online?
He's going to be doing it via Zoom.
Okay.
You can come in here and watch it in the training room if you want to, or you can do it via the Zoom link from home.
Okay. And then, what was I going to say? Do you know the dates for Bold off the top of your head?
I don't. You can go online and look at them. I'm not sharing my screen anymore, so. Oops, I didn't do that. Hang on, I'll see if I can find it real quick, Emily. I should share my screen so you guys can see how to do this.
I can Google it. I just have my calendar up, so I was adding stuff.
Well, I'm pulling it up as we speak. I went to Bold. If you go to Maps Coaching, then click on Bold, it should bring all those dates up. And then actually, let me here. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
So if you go, hold on, I'll show you exactly. Go to Maps Coaching, go to Bold. Find a Bold. And with it being done via Zoom right now, you can do it anytime, pretty much.
Okay.
And oops. Sign up. October 20th, it just began. Last for 4 weeks, 2 hours, 2 days a week for 4 weeks.
They were advertising some 2-day event in November. I don't remember what it was called.
Oh, I don't know.
Hmm.
But it'll come again right after that, probably in November, but it'll probably be 2 days a week for 4 weeks.
Okay, let me see.
Okay. Anything else?
It was called Masterminds, I guess.
Oh, that's part of mastery coaching.
Okay.
Yeah, that's different.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right. No, it's all good stuff. And there's a lot of Kellerisms, so I know learning a lot of those. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Oh, go
I
ahead.
have a real quick question about the Excel sheet and if I could get that.
Yep.
email over to me.
Yep.
Thank you. Cool.
I will do that.
And
All
I have a
right.
question. Once you do the business plan in Excel, you just kind of stick to it. You print it out and
Save it so that if you want to go in and make adjustments, not reinventing the wheel, you can just change whatever numbers and recalculate it. And I recommend at least printing off that last page and taping it to the wall wherever you work, on a bulletin board or whatever, where you work, or in your notebook, so that it reminds you, ooh, am I on track? Ooh, am I on track?
it's like a guidepost. It gives you a plan versus just throwing darts.
It is. And you know what? If I said, the 6 of us are going to California, that's pretty ambiguous, isn't it? But if I said the 6 of us are going to California, we need to be there by November 15th. We have a budget of $4,000. We have to be at this place on this date. Then we can make a plan around it, right? So it's the same kind of thing. It's building a plan around your business so that you do all the things that you need to do to, at the end of the day, make whatever that dollar amount is, $100,000, whatever it is.
And then, would you feel comfortable if somebody like myself might invest more in marketing for lead gen? In addition to the database dials and stuff, is that?
If you have money to spend, you can do that. I also remember how I said let's say you have your first closing and you have a $8,000 commission check. And your portion of that is $6,000. Take a percentage of that, take a piece of that and reinvest. Here's what I recommend you do, that you take 30 to 35% of it and put it away for taxes. Get a separate account that you don't touch, you don't see, have it auto, when we do your auto payment of your commission check, and send it directly to that tax account. So it's there and ready and willing when it's time to pay the tax man. Take another piece of it, and if it's $500 per commission check or whatever, and put it into reinvesting in my business. And then the rest of it go toward your expenses and your income. But if you think about it that way, as you prioritize it out, have more than one account even.
Yes.
So that you always have that money separate and you're not tempted to go, I'm gonna take that tax money and I'm gonna spend it here.
That makes sense. And while I have another question that seems highly naive, but I'm still kind of new. Can I ask it?
Absolutely, yeah.
What I've heard a lot about the profit sharing. I don't recall what that's about. Like, what's the story there?
Okay. So at the end of every month, we're a franchise. First off, we're a franchise. And so each Keller Williams office is independently owned and operated. At the end of every month, each franchise, after they pay all of their bills to keep their office running, so like for our lease and for our staff and for the computers and the resources and all the things you have here, to conference rooms and all of that, after all the bills are paid, the money that's left over is profit. With every other company out there, that profit just goes to the owners of the company, right? Well, not with us. Our owners share 48% of the profit back with the agents who've helped the company grow. So the way it works is when you join Keller Williams, you name someone as your sponsor. Well, the way you participate so that you can earn profit share is as you co-op with other agents. If you go to a real estate class, if you meet other agents, other places, you say, we don't want you recruiting, but what we want you to do is when you identify somebody that would be a great fit for Keller Williams, say, hey, you really ought to talk to Dala because Keller Williams has some great tools. And Emily, I'm going to use you as an example, just because when I met Emily, she was friends with one of our agents, Andy. And Andy had mentioned it to her. And he also told me, he goes, I think Emily would be a great fit here. And so Emily and Andy actually introduced us when she was in the office, and then I reached out to her and we met, and we talked and all of that. So when Emily comes to Keller Williams, she named Andy as her sponsor. And that's how he would participate in profit share. So here's Andy and here's Emily. Well, now Emily, she also has contacts and people she knows. So for Emily to participate, she'd refer somebody and they would join us and name her as their sponsor. Now, each person can benefit from up to 7 people below them. We call that your downline. So here's you, here's Emily. Then Emily met somebody, then they met somebody, then they met somebody. And it doesn't have to be just this office. So let's say we know somebody that lives in Indiana that has their real estate license. We say, hey, you really ought to go talk to Keller Williams. And they join an office in Indiana or Tucson or any place else. They then can name you as their sponsor. They don't have to join just this office, and you get part of the profits from those offices or any office Keller Williams has anywhere. We're in 29 countries plus all 50 states.
But it's people below you. The profit share comes when there's someone below you.
Yeah, it doesn't come from anyone's commission. They just have to be contributing to the company dollar, meaning they can't just park their license and not do any business. The office that they're in has to be profitable, and they have to be contributing to the company dollar.
So for example, a new agent like myself, no closings, no profit share. I have to have
Right, you have to contribute to the company dollar. You can't just park your license and not do anything.
right. Okay, that's
So once you do have business though, the person you name as your sponsor will benefit from you doing that. But you need to work on your own downline.
the downline is the profit share. Got it.
Yes. Yep.
I see. Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Once you're with us for 7 years, you're vested. So once you retire, you still get your profit share. It's even willable to your heirs when you die.
I heard mumblings of
Right here in Columbus last year made over $70,000 in profit share. It's all how much you focus on it.
yeah, I think
If you make it a point, and I know it's been a little tough during COVID, but normally, there's realtor meetings and realtor socials and functions and all this kind of stuff. And as you're going out and meeting people, then that's a great way to network and add people to your downline.
I love it. Okay, that's helpful. Yeah, I just was trying to wrap my head around that. There's so many things to learn as a new agent. You might
That's okay.
You might have forgotten all there is, but this is
All
great.
right.
And I heard rumblings KW might go public. It's
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah.
We'll see.
hopefully
That was an Inman thing. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that, whether or not Gary would do that.
Yeah.
One of the big things is we own our own data. It's a proprietary thing. So I don't know. We'll just have to watch and see.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you
You're welcome.
and your guidance.
You are welcome. All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Right.
Question.
Oh, yep.
I typed a question for you in the chat.
Oh, I didn't see. I'm sorry.
It says, well, it's asking for my KWU ID.
Go to
What is-
white pages.
The white pages.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, Emily, let me call you and
Okay.
I'll go get on my other computer.
Okay.
All right.
Guys, bye.
If you start typing your name in, it should pop up.
Okay.
But if not, we can go to white pages.
Okay.
Dale, last question. This whole conference with Jim, is that something we have to register for? I didn't see anything for registration.
It's on our office calendar. Did it say, I don't remember if it said registration required.
I'm not seeing that. Press the register button. Oh, register now. Okay, I'm registering now. 94.
Okay. Yep.
Places left. I'm gonna
All
get
right.
that. Thank you so much, Dela.
Yep. You're welcome. Talk
Thanks
to you
for taking all my
soon.
questions.
Bye.